you can easily take, and you're watching candles too, but you could easily stop and say if it goes to 250, I'm out. It's all right. So you minimize that loss, right? Okay. There was a day we had, I mean, of course, it's days like this all the time, where it just goes straight up, and you're going, man, this is a skyrocket. That's amazing. When will it stop? Now, if you missed it, then just wait, because there'll be a point where you see that we ran out of buyers, and then you scalp from the top. As he knows, it's one of my favorite plays. You scalp from the top, and if it breaks down, I'm going to get a bigger play. So if I've missed that side, now, we usually try to call the long. In other words, it's breaking out, it's breaking out. But when I start screaming, it's breaking out, you got to go long, it's breaking out. So, or, that certain times of day, if you watch it during lunch, it's breaking out almost every day. So you want to play that lunchtime bounce to the long side. I mean, it's exciting. It depends what you want in your life. I mean, it's very exciting.
Now, do you use the brackets? I mean, those 3 up and 2 down?
OCO, yeah. You mean OCO brackets? Now he's next to me, so I can't lie to you. Do I use them? Nah. But do I teach it? Of course I do. But do I use any brackets? Nah. I mean, first of all, if I'm getting high a day and I'm shorting, I'll take the risk. And to me, it's a fair risk. I'm a gambler too, so it goes with it. I'm a card player. I could be bluffing, or you can't tell. But when I get up to the top of a range, the odds are I'm not going to go past that range, at least not today. And within the next 24 hours, the odds are, if I even made a mistake, you've seen it. When I even make a mistake, I make money, because I could have gone higher on me, it went up on me, and then sure enough, while I'm sleeping, I'm out of the trade. Or when I get up in the morning. I mean, the reality is how much are you willing to risk. So then you need to put that up on top. There's a thing called a gap. Have you ever heard of the gap? Okay. Now, the gap that you get in stocks is any different than the gap that you get doing this. But I'll do that for 1 second. Is that all right if I do this long?
Yeah, that's fine. What was your name again? Somebody's asking them.
Frank Smith.
Is that a question? Are you doing ECA?
I don't know. That's a good question. But we'll go. Well, you can do it. If some people will. I personally, I guess I will. If I get caught in a trade where let's say I'm betting down, what he called is my dollar cost average. Remember, tell him I'm a day trader, so it'll be easier. Yeah, it's tough to do. But let's say that I shorted 2 contracts, and I shorted it a little bit early. But it goes up more, I would take the second trade to the top end, and then I would bet that down. But usually I bet down to the win to the other side, so I win on both. Now that's my theory, but it's not necessarily anyone else's. When you do this gap, let me just tell you that people make a living. And when we're going to be in New York, we have a booth. There's a guy that's called Master the Trade, Master the Gap, and he has a website. And again, I will tell you, if you're technical, you might like him. I can't understand one thing he says, and I did hear him speak. And I have to tell you, I listened to him for 30 minutes and had no idea what he said. So I'm going to explain it maybe in my terms. When we get up in the morning and we see this large gap, right, 10 points to the up, 10 points to the down, the odds are 75% that gap will fill, just so you know. And that gap doesn't count till 9:30 in the morning. Now, to the day traders like us, if I see that 10-point gap, it's a no-brainer. I'm shorting. Now, I'm shorting before the market. That 10 points is up. I'm in a faded gap. It's coming down. And I see 10 points, I'm in. I'll take that risk. Betting that it'll come. Now, again, my indicator's got to tell me, too. But I'll take that risk knowing that by the time you guys see that gap, it's now 5. It's still a gap, but it's now 5. At 9:30, I have to make a decision on that gap. And I will tell you this, and I'll tell you this if you decide to become a gap trader. A gap trader makes that decision at 9:15. He looks at all of the news that came in during the day. He looks at, and I do all that for them when they hear me on the website. So at 9:15, I say the gap's going to fill or it's not. Now, I'm not always right, but I'll say the odds are it's going to fill. Or I'll say, let's go right now, it's filling. And I've done that. And I'm probably, I'd say my percentage of wins on that is 98% on calling it. But it's because the news wasn't good or the news was good, depending on which way it goes. But when you see that there's all been good, let's use an example, all been bad news the whole time. And the gap is on the upside, right? We got a gap coming down. It's going to fill. I mean, the odds of it not filling are slim. I mean, they have bad news all day. They're going to talk you down, and they're going to bring it back to where it was. And probably the market's going to go down even lower. So, that's it. There are people that make a living trading the gap, and they all walk away with stops. They're gap traders. They play the gap. They make their living. They'll trade 20 to 50 contracts on those things, and that's how they make their living. They play that trade. They take the risk, and they walk away. And and it's just like you got a pile of money with a 75% chance of winning. Now, but they may not make the trade. If they don't think that gap's going to fill, did the gap fill Friday?
No, it didn't fill in the morning.
It filled in the last minute of trading. So a gap trader would have been having a nervous breakdown. He'd have been rolling on the floor, ready, or else he would have still made a good profit during the day because he couldn't.
Well, literally, it went 19 points yesterday.
Yeah, they had a 19-point gap at one time.
So he was sweating 19 points.
Either that or he stopped out. I mean, we don't know where he got in. So all I'm telling you is that a true gap trader trades at 9:30 in the morning. I'm not a true gap trader. I use a 2-candle process where I want to see where it's going to go, unless I make that call I just said. If there's enough news that says this thing's going to fill or it's a real small gap and it's easy, I'll call it. But otherwise, I wait for 2 candles. I wait for 6 minutes, and then I'll call it.
So let me see, so you only preference for the other platform or broker that you're using is just the margin.
Margins, well, no, their platforms are better too. For speed trading, day and night, way better. Oh my God, are you kidding? Infinity or Global Futures will kill them. Their platforms are way better. I've tested all the other platforms. I'm just lazy. I'm so used to doing this global, doing think or swim that I'm lazy.
Would they use the Ninja Trader?
Yeah, they can use. They have lots of platforms you can use for free.
Infinity's got like 6 or 7.
Well, so does Global. Tons.
I don't know much Global. Yeah, I know.
Tons. Well, we've tested almost everybody. When I go to the show, I'm going to test everybody. So that's our goal, is to really get everybody on here. But it's just you don't really need, the way I trade. I don't think you need as much speed. But when you get the breakouts, I mean, when you see it taking off, I mean, when you can't miss it. It's when it's coming at you. Or it's going up or short, we want to be on that side of it, right? So we want to be able to call that. If I say, look, it's breaking out, and I made the call yesterday at lunch, I said, be careful, you guys, do not short into this, only go long. And it just took off, I think, right after I said
7 points.
7 points.
In about 4 minutes.
I don't, was it about noon, probably? I mean, it's called the lunchtime bounce anyway, so 11:45. And then again, it reverses, and, you play it the other way. But, you make it 7 points on an E-mini trade. Quit. Go dance it. You're done. Let's have a nice time, But the problem with all this is sometimes you can't stop. It's addictive.
That's the E-mini, because sometimes they don't move too much, the E-mini.
Oh, I love when they don't move too much. That's my favorite. Up and down, just let me stay in a range. Those are easy. It's like pinball. The hard thing's the breakouts, because they'll kill you. But when they're pinballing in a short range of 5 points, December, other people hate December. I make a fortune in December because it doesn't go anywhere. But I make a point. Were you in December? I was calling half points, half points. I mean, it's weird. It's ugly, but you trade 10 contracts. But for 5 Gs, you got $5,000 in an account, trading 10 contracts. How do you miss that deal? So it's something I found, and I think of it differently than other people might. And my son's so conservative that he trades it completely different than me. And I don't mind. I make fun of him, but I don't mind. It's just because it's supposed to be the other way around, isn't it? The younger guy is supposed to be more aggressive. But anyway, the concept of this, again, go to a chat room, come look up these guys, watch them trade. They'll put this next week. They're putting you can watch them.
These are the guys in Michigan?
They're all in Michigan and Florida.
So you buy the book.
Buy the book first, so you get it, and I have an idea what E-minis are. You really all should just get the book.
But if you know what the